Hello and welcome to today's stream, or not stream as to say, recorded video. I'm now going to be getting into the last part of Shazam, and finally we're getting onto that. I've got a little bit more time now, so I'm going to be taking that time and finishing off the Shazam from last week. If you didn't check out last week's video, then definitely go and check it out in the playlist. It should be linked at the end of this video if you just want to go and check out how I actually drew this on paper and then took it to the digital format. This is again drawing or digitally drawing in Critter, which is completely free. If you guys would like to check it out and download it for yourself, it is available for your PC for definite, because that's how I'm doing it today. I'm using a mouse. I don't know if you can get it on a tablet. I'm not sure. I haven't tried, and because my tablet's not sort of that kind of way. But I think there is a way of getting it on a Wacom, or using your Wacom to do digitally from your pad to the actual thing, your screen on your PC, as you would normally. Yeah, but we're going to be finishing off. We got some more Shazam videos for you from somebody else, but not today. Not what's his name? Not Whoa, I made that go too small. Not what just goes that? Not Comic Historian, which we'd normally have. Not even at Comics Explain. We'd have an a bit of variant, which is a different way. They deliver your comics. They don't give you a story as such, or what is verses, which is what I'm going to be trying to do today. Because there is, if you've watched, this comes spoilers. If you've watched anything of Shazam, or if you watched the film itself, and you get into the end cutscenes, which I sat in the cinema for the whole of the thing. I don't normally sit for the very end, because you know you get the cutscenes and then you get your cutscenes, and then it's like, well, I'll just check those out on YouTube when I get home. Well, I stayed because I thought to myself, Rock's going to be the end of this, or no, should we say Black Adam, and he was not, which made me think. Adverts. I try not to have adverts in the video when I'm digitally drawing, or whether I'm drawing live here. If you ever have caught any of my live streams, let me know in the comments down below. But you know how much I've had and how much I got to get on. But I got to get that those there. Copyright is a bit of a problem at the moment, as you know, on YouTube, which I've just been cautious about. And if I put somebody else's advert when I'm actually, you know, I mean, it's not even, it's almost free advertisement. You can see it. I suppose I can just do that. So let's that video started. I want to pause that a second and wish I could cut all of this out. Let's just pause that a second. But yeah, I have a reference going on down there for something else for you guys to watch. Because obviously, drawing isn't the most entertaining of things if you just want to have it as a casual thing, which is what I kind of think my videos are for. The length of them can be lengthy, but a lot of them are cut into different videos, as I'll do 45 minutes or something, and then I'll carry on to do something else, and I come back to it. So that's why I make these short videos digitally. But when I'm live, guys, you can always join in, so don't forget to subscribe. And if you do like the reference on YouTube that I'm watching today, I'll leave a link down below.
Strongest. I guess it's just part of our DNA to know whether this hero can beat up that hero. Not to mention, it's a crap ton of fun. Having said that, it's been a hot minute since we've posted a Versus episode here on the show. But with Shazam finally hitting theaters this weekend, we thought it was the perfect time to look at one of comics' most talked about matchups, the Big Red Cheese against Big Blue, Shazam versus Superman. Now it's time for the main event, the world's mightiest mortal versus the Man of Steel. Who will win? Well, let's find out. If you haven't seen our Versus episodes before, we like to start off with a brief rundown of each of the characters' origins, and then move on to each of the opponent's powers and abilities, and finally, determine our winner. And since Shazam is the man of the hour, let's start with him. I'm going to give you guys his modern origin, as that's the one currently being used in the comics, and
So let's pause that there. So yeah, we started on the on the pencil drawing. see here, and again I've taken it to the app here on the PC by just taking a picture of it on my tablet. But you can use your phone or whatever and do it the same way. If you've drawn something and you want to sort of scan it in, I mean, I have a scanner, I should really hook it up and get it going, but I keep forgetting to just sort of get it done because using tablet just seems to work for me. And then I sort of colour over it. Hold on a second. Alexa, will not listen to me. But yeah, we got different layers. You've got to add different layers. I'll just take that layer off actually. Each time you want to make something like fine lines, I did those actually after the first part of it, because what I use the actual thing as a reference, my sort of main picture, but I don't use it as like true to what it is, because sometimes I can't draw things like I can in digital, but I can draw and then draw things I can't draw on paper, which I can't do on digital, which is strange, I know to think, but so the style stays similar, but I'm able to do and tweak things where if I didn't like the face here, I could maybe take off a little bit by deleting just the whole piece there if I didn't want it, but I do want it. And then that's why the fine lines come in, so where I go around everything with like a almost not a shading brush, but a line pencil, because you can have these in the tools down here, which is absolutely amazing. And today we're going to be doing effects and shading. I did a little bit of shading already, or off camera. If you like, as you can see here on I can call him Robin there, but I can't. Billy's face there's got a bit of shading. I did put a little bit on here on Shazam, but didn't need too much, purely because it just shine. I'm trying to get the bolt to be the shine, if you like, between the two, the change, if you like. I should stop saying if you like. So there's the other layers, and adding on the cufflinks. I don't know, gauntlets maybe, but I think gauntlets are more of a hand thing. But the gold will now be sort of, I'll add a shine to it by using tools down here. I'm using the colours. I wish I'd never closed the thing. You can get like a nice good yellow, because obviously yellow is Shazam's thing. Turn myself up. I'll let the video play there. Hopefully the audio is coming in okay. I'm trying to turn it down because I've got music playing in the background and I can't turn it down because Alexa will not listen to me. So I'm going to have to turn this down and get on with some colouring in, shall we like.
His movie. In Shazam's modern origin, Billy Batson is a good yet troubled orphan who's put into a foster home. There he would meet Freddie Freeman, along with Mary and several other foster siblings. Flash forward a bit and Billy is running away from two bullies and just narrowly escapes the boys onto the subway. The train then transforms around him into a magic train, and when the doors open, it reveals the old mystical fortress known as the Rock of Eternity. Billy wanders the halls in awe, looking at all the magical sights, when suddenly a voice calls out to him. So a freaked out Billy runs past the 7 deadly sins and finds the wizard Shazam. The dying wizard claims to be the last of his brethren, with the others murdered by the wizard's prior champion, Black Adam. Anyway, he then explains to Billy that he needs a new champion, one of pure good, to defend the realm of magic. The wizard then proceeds to test Billy for pure good, but he finds that he, like every other mortal, is not pure of heart. This annoys Billy, so he argues with the wizard, telling him that pure good no longer exists. He actually goes on to say, "People are horrible. They disappoint you. They let you down. I've spent my life learning that. You're searching for something that doesn't exist." This causes the wizard to realize the corrupt nature of the world and sees wisdom in Billy. With that, he tests Billy for the embers of good, and Billy passes the test. The wizard then tells him that he will be his champion and commands him to speak his name. Shazam. But that he must do so with purpose and belief, with good intentions, and he shall transform into his greatest potential. Billy is not surprisingly extremely weirded out by this, as any normal person would be if an elderly old man wearing dirty ripped clothes tells you to shout his name. But Billy does so anyway and is magically transformed into the world's mightiest mortal and magic's champion, Shazam. And with that, the wizard dissolves, telling Billy that he is all that remains between the world and magical threats. Okay, that's a wrap on Shazam's origin, so let's move on to the Man of Steel, which I'm going to go through a lot quicker because let's be honest, whether you're a comic book fan or not, who doesn't know Superman's origin? Anyway, Kal-El, the boy who would become Superman, is the son of Jor-El and Lara. And when their planet Krypton was blowing up, they put their son on a ship and rocketed him to Earth in order to save him. He would land on Earth and be found by Jonathan and Martha Kent, who took him in as their own, raising him in Smallville. They gave him the best life they could offer while helping him deal with his powers throughout his adolescence. At least the best they knew how, as he was an alien after all. He would eventually move to Metropolis, where he became a reporter for the Daily Planet. This is also where he would become Superman, protecting all of humanity, fighting for truth, justice, and the American way. And just like that, his origin, quick, simple, and to the point. But now it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty, powers and abilities, starting with the big red cheese, Shazam. As I mentioned before, Shazam is the world's mightiest mortal and magic's champion, and his powers derive from a pantheon of gods. Each letter in his name is the first letter of a god from which he pulls his power from. And yes, I know some of them are technically not gods, but hey, comic books. We're talking about characters that fly around in bright colors. Just go with it. Anyway, the S in his name stands for Solomon, as he has the wisdom of Solomon. Solomon gives Billy vast knowledge, perception, comprehension, and insight. Through magic, Solomon is actually able to speak to Billy during his times of need. This gives Shazam a photographic memory and the ability to speak any language, and he has advanced knowledge of war strategy and tactics. The H stands for Hercules, as he has his strength. This allows Shazam to lift 100 tons without effort and stand toe-to-toe with other heavy hitters such as Superman, hence this episode, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, and more. The A stands for Atlas, as he possesses his stamina, the Titan who literally carried the world on his shoulders. Because of this, Billy doesn't need to eat or sleep and has virtually limitless endurance. Next, the Z in his name stands for Zeus, since he possesses the power of Zeus. Zeus is the most powerful of the gods, so this grants Billy many abilities, some of which being high-level magical resistance, a god-level healing factor, and the ability to call down the lightning that changes him back and forth between his two personas. He has even used the lightning as a weapon. He simply calls it down, then dodges it, allowing it to strike his enemy. So cool. Moving on, we have the A in his name, which stands for Achilles, as he has his courage. This makes Shazam a fearless hero and incredibly optimistic in the worst of situations. And lastly, his M stands for Mercury, since he has his speed. This makes him one of the 10 fastest characters in the entire DC universe. He's been known to rival the speed of even the Flash. He was actually able to catch the Flash in the Justice graphic novel. But speaking of feats, he once caught an aircraft carrier that was thrown at him by Superman. To put that in perspective, an aircraft carrier can weigh around 100,000 tons. What I'm saying is, Shazam has countless abilities and is literally a god of a superhero. There's very few that could stand toe-to-toe with him. But one of those few is the Man of Steel. Superman's powers derive from the Earth's yellow sun. The more of its energy he absorbs, the more powerful he becomes. He's quite literally a living solar battery. Because of Kryptonian's unique ability to absorb energy from the yellow sun, Supes has an array of powers, like super speed being one of DC's top 10 fastest characters, coming in just a little slower than the Flash. He also has the power of flight and X-ray vision, as well as heat vision, which is concentrated thermal energy that he could shoot from his eyes at temperatures comparable to those produced by stars. Rounding out the list, he has super hearing, stamina, and invulnerability. I'm talking bullets, missiles, and bombs don't even leave a scratch on the dude. He also has super breath and freeze breath, as well as being an expert in combat and possesses a genius level intellect. He uses all these crazy powers and more to pull off feats like, you know, holding a miniature black hole in his freaking hand. Long story short, a scientist was able to contain one, but it got loose and it was gonna suck in the entire solar system. So to stop this, he just grabbed it with his hand. In short, he was able to hold something that could suck in an entire solar system. Another time, he bench pressed the weight of the Earth for 5 days straight just to test his strength. That's 5.97 sextillion tons for those of you wondering. He's even sealed tears in space and time with his heat vision. I told you earlier it was hot. Basically what happened was there was a tear in reality caused by an ancient deity, so Superman just sealed those tears with his heat vision. Insane. I can go on and on with Superman's feats, but I think you guys get the point. Overall, that's a rundown of just how insanely powerful these dudes are. But who would win between the two? Well, let's figure that out. First and foremost, Shazam can and has beaten Superman before, like the time he knocked Superman out with a 1-2 punch in JLA 29. To which our man says, not many people can do that. Shazam replies, I got lucky, and he's vulnerable to magic. But then on the flip side, Superman has also defeated Shazam, like in Kingdom Come, when Superman grabs Billy by the mouth in between Billy calling down lightning to hit Supes. With Superman covering his mouth and unable to say the word Shazam and transform, Captain Marvel is easily defeated by the Man of Steel. However, on another occasion, Superman is able to borrow the power of Shazam and was able to feel Billy's power. And when he returned the power back to Billy, Supes told him, but seriously, Billy, in every way, I consider us equals. So the question shouldn't be, can Shazam beat Superman, or can Superman beat Shazam, because they've beaten each other on several occasions. So the real question is, without each hero holding back, who would win more often than not? And in that case, I gotta give it to Superman. And that's simply because Superman is a character that lives outside of his true potential. You see, we're used to seeing Superman restrained in almost every confrontation we see him in, as he's always looking out for the well-being of everyone around him. He even referenced this in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, saying, I feel as if I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone, never allowing myself to lose control for even a moment, or someone could die. And one of those rare occasions is in the Injustice comics, which gives us a ruthless Superman who pulls no punches. And we see when he's not holding back, he literally manhandled powerhouse Black Adam. Or when Shazam questions Superman's actions, saying Lois would never want this. So Superman grabs Shazam by the throat, then freezes his mouth shut with his frost breath so he can't call down lightning by saying Shazam, and then proceeds to burn 2 holes through his head using his heat vision. And then mic drops, saying to the rest of his regime, anyone else? So that's the kind of stuff Superman is capable of when he lets loose and goes full beast mode, which is why I gotta give this win to the Man of Steel. That's just our 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, as it's always fun to get some discussion going. But that's going to bring another episode of Variant to a close. But remember to check out all our social media, like our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram. Links are in the description as always. But I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.
Why do millions of us play World of Tanks?
Well, I like crashing.
Smashing.
Let's go back to what I was doing. I'm trying to get the hair here and it's just not working for me. I think I'll just go with the same style as it was when I pressed, but I've changed it already, so got to try and concentrate on the hair. I'm going to go over to Shazam in a minute and sort of faff around, see what I can do with that one, because I'm not liking the hair that I'm doing on this. But I'm going to give you something else to listen to. So let's go back and put that in different mode. What other videos have you checked out by these guys as well, guys? Let me know.
What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and if you're enjoying the content here on my...
Where you can find these videos and more. And it's not just Shazam, there's
What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and if you're enjoying the content here on my channel, then make sure you hit the like button, and make sure you hit subscribe so you can help decide what direction the content on my channel goes in the foreseeable future. Okay, so like last week we did the rundown with Batman letting a guy burn to death. I don't know why that's funny to me. I don't know why I'm laughing about the fact that Batman let a guy burn to death. Maybe it's because Batman never does that. Man, that's messed up. Like when you say it out loud, it's rough, man. But this week we're gonna cover one of the creepiest stories of all time, which is when like Billy Batson becomes Captain Marvel. Like when he gets his powers, his original powers in the old Wiz Comics #2. So history time. Okay, so history time. I don't know why I did that little intro thing. Gordon, you got to keep that. You can't not do anything with that. You can't cut that out. This is like the most fun I've ever had making a video. Okay, so it's like 1938, right? And like you have Harry Donenfeld and Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson, and they've launched Detective Comics, and they have the Detective Comics line of stories and so on and so forth, like New Fun Comics, Adventure Comics, whatever. And they want to launch a publication called Action Comics, but they have like no content for it. They hit the panic button, and Harry Donenfeld goes to this guy Vin Sullivan, and he's like, "Get me something for Action Comics. I don't care what it is." So like this whole time, you had Jerry Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, who've been trying to get like anybody to publish the story of Superman, like United Feature Syndicate and like all these different publications. So they sent it into DC, which is kind of weird because they were basically writing Slam Bradley at the time, who's basically Batman, without like the cloak and cowl, but like he does all the other stuff, like he beats people up, and he's not really that smart, but he beats people up and he's like a detective. But the whole thing is like Vince Sullivan is going through like a stack of write-ins, and he's like, whatever, man, we'll just grab this Superman, whatever this is, and just throw it in there. It was a total happenstance that Superman got published, but Superman got published by like a luck of the draw and just like exploded. Like it was the craziest thing ever, and everybody's like, oh man, Superman, this is the coolest thing ever. So like 2 years later, you got Fawcett Publications, right? And like Fawcett Publications was making like newspapers and like magazines, or what passed for magazines, but because of the fact that Superman like blew up the comic book industry, I mean, you had like Timely back then, which was like the predecessor to Marvel, but like Fawcett was like, okay, so like we got to get in on this cash cow, because if we don't, like we're gonna be missing out on like some serious cheese. So the president of Fawcett Publications goes to a couple guys who were working there, and he goes to Bill Parker and CC Beck, and he says, give me Superman without Superman. And they're like, well, isn't that copyright infringement? And he's like, don't give a damn. So like they create this kid named Billy Batson, Captain Marvel. All right, dude, this kid, dude, it was crazy how like popular Captain Marvel was. People think Superman was like the most popular superhero of all time. He is now, but like he wasn't then. Like back in 1940, no. Captain Marvel was the name of the game. Dude, he doubled the sales of Superman's comics. He could fly before Superman. He had his own radio show before Superman. He's like the most popular thing ever. That's why DC sued him. It was insane how popular it was. But we have this kid, Billy Batson, and Billy Batson is like he's got problems, right? And I don't mean like 21st century millennial problems, like, oh, I got a major in something pointless and now I can't find work. I mean like real problems, like he's homeless, yet somehow he's got these crisp, clean clothes and he's wearing Chuck Taylors, but like he's selling newspapers. And like this old man in like a hat and a cloak shows up and he's like, hello, little boy. Do you want to know a secret? It's like the creepiest thing. Like if this happened right now, parents would come running out of the woodwork. They'd jump out of cracks in the ground. They'd start beating this guy over the head with purses. Like it'd be the craziest thing. It'd be hilarious. That's a World Star Hip Hop video. That's a video that goes viral. So this creepy old man takes Billy Batson into the subway. It's a little boy, this little kid, takes him into the subway station, and Billy's like, where are we going? And he's like, just wait and see. So they hitch a ride aboard the magical train that apparently, I guess, is going to Hogwarts. So it's like the magical train, and like the magical train takes them to like Adventureland, which rides by like the 7 deadly sins, which is creepy enough. You know, if I'm like a little boy who's like 10 years old and some creepy old man shows up and says, hello, little boy, come with me, I want to show you something, you know, and I follow him, one, that's a problem because my parents clearly screwed up, and two, there's no possible way this can end well. So the train takes Billy Batson to the home of an old man. This is so creepy. It's like the creepiest thing ever. It takes him to the home of an old man, and like the old man's like, I know everything about you, Billy Batson. But it gets even crazier. Like it gets even more illogical after this. So Billy's like, how do you know my name? He's like, I know everything about you, you know? And so like the old man just like shouts the word Shazam. And we end up having like Billy being shown that like Shazam is like, they're like letters that stand for things. Like, you know, Solomon's wisdom, and like Hercules' strength, and Atlas's stamina, and Zeus's power, and Achilles' courage, and Mercury's speed. He does not get Achilles' heel, which would actually be kind of funny. Like the one weakness of like Shazam or Captain Marvel is like all you have to do is just like shoot him in the ankle and he's defeated, like shoot him in the heel. That would be hilarious. Like imagine that, like a fight between like Superman and like Captain Marvel, and like they're just beating the crap out of each other. Like it's like this no hold bar, like bloody, like this bloody, downright bloody fight. Like teeth are missing, all that kind of stuff. And Superman's like, I've had enough of this, and just like squeezes Billy Batson's heel, and he's like, oh, you know, and like turns back into Billy Batson. That would be hilarious. Like, dude, I would I would die laughing if that happened. But anyway, so this goes into the whole thing where the old man's like, okay, so like I'm 3,000 years old, because you know, you can believe me. I mean, I'm not just some crazy man tripping balls in the subway. Like you can believe me. I'm 3,000 years old, all right? And I exist to protect the world, but I can't do it forever. So like you need to be the one to protect the world. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you powers to basically shout the word Shazam, and you're gonna have all these abilities, and you're gonna become Captain Marvel. And so like Billy Batson says the word Shazam and turns into like this grown man, and basically like becomes a hero. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I mean, let's be truthful here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be honest with ourselves, folks. If any of us had this power, like, I don't know about you guys, I'd pick up chicks. Like dude, that's what I would do. I would be like, Shazam, and then, hey girl, what's going on, girl? Look at how handsome I am, and I've got slick hair, and I'm handsome and good looking, and I'm strong and muscular, you know, like that's literally what I would do. I would just like shout Shazam and then like walk into bars, you know, and just like pick up chicks. That's exactly what I would do. You can call me shallow if you want to, but that's exactly what I would do. I regret nothing. So anyway, once Billy Batson learns he has these powers, the old man on acid sends him back onto the streets. All right, so the next morning, we pick up with Billy Batson, who's like, you know, selling his newspapers and reading this story about some maniac scientist that wants to like blow up the radio system, like the radio system, because there's only one radio system in the United States, but like he wants to blow up the radio system. And like there's these two guys who show up and they refer to a guy as the boss. So Billy Batson, being the detective that he is, puts two and two together and says, man, a scientist wants to blow up the radio system. These guys refer to a guy as boss. Clearly they're criminals. Clearly they're bad guys. And they work for the maniac scientist because, you know, 1940s comic logic. So like Billy Batson like watches these guys go into like these high-rise apartments. All right, and then he goes flying into the high-rise apartments, like goes running in there and he's like, hey doorman, like there's criminals who just walked in here. And like the doorman are like, what evidence do you have? And he's like, one of them referred to a guy as boss, you know, and it's like, okay, this kid's crazy. This kid's got nothing. So like they boot him out of here, right? They're like, dude, get out of here, kid. Kid ignores them, goes running in to talk to a guy named Mr. Morris, who's running the whole radio program and everything. So like Billy Batson tells him, he's like, hey, look, man, some guys are up to no good. They're gonna destroy your stuff. I know this because I heard them say the word boss, and clearly that's the thing only criminals and mobsters say. And so, you know, Mr. Morris is like, whatever, man, get the heck out of here. But Billy's like, okay, look, I'll make you a deal, man. If I figure out what's going on and if I solve this case, will you give me a job? And, you know, and Mr. Morris is like, yeah, sure, man. Like, I'll definitely give you a job. So like Billy takes off and he's like, this sounds like a job for Captain Marvel, and like shouts the word Shazam. So like he shows up inside of like this radio place where these guys are getting ready to destroy all this stuff. And they're talking to the maniac scientist, and like Shazam shows up, grabs one of the guys and throws them into the radio equipment. Now keep in mind, these aren't like prop boxes, right? These aren't cardboard boxes, and it's not really even a wall. He throws them into radio equipment. Electricity just flowing through these things, and he's like, don't care whether you live or die, like throws them into the radio equipment. All right, the other guy goes bolting for the elevator, you know, tries to jump down the elevator shaft. Captain Marvel grabs the rope, throws it down there, brings him back up, and beats the crap out of him. So he's like, no, not only are you not gonna get away, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you just for good measure. And so then the maniac scientist starts talking crap. So Shazam, like Captain Marvel, you know, Billy Batson, he's like, all right, he's like, look, the next time we meet, you know, either it's gonna be behind prison cells or you're gonna be dead because I'm gonna kill you. And I'm like, really, Billy Batson? You're just gonna run up on an old man and just kill him? That is not what you were taught, Billy Batson. I know you know better than that. But like he's like running up on old folks and just killing old folks because that's what Billy Batson does. I don't know. It's pretty messed up. So Mr. Moore shows up, all right, and Billy's like, oh man, yeah, dude, look at this, man. This is crazy. Like, look at all this stuff. Because like Billy Batson calls him up and he's like, hey man, all your radio stuff got trashed. And like Mr. Moore shows up and he's like, what happened? And Billy's like, man, I have no idea. So obviously he just like told a bold-faced lie. And so Mr. Morris is like, well, I mean, obviously you couldn't do this on your own, but because of the fact that I said I would give you a job if you manage to solve this case, then like the job is yours. So the question we have to ask is, what's the lesson we've learned? Like just to recap what happened in this story. There's a little kid named Billy Batson who's homeless, yet somehow has nice clothes. He's met by a mysterious old man who's wearing a cloak, which never ends well. He follows the old man into the subway system where he takes a ride on a magical train covered in stars and shapes to meet another old man who's clearly tripping balls and says, you'll have magical powers if you shout my name. And then he turns around and he trashes a radio station after, for whatever reason, believing that these guys were criminals because they said the word boss, then to turn around and tell a bold-faced lie to another guy and be rewarded for it. That is what we've learned from this story. This is Golden Age comics, guys. 1940s comics. This is the way the game got played. But with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, and I will catch you all later. Peace.
welcome to the RNBEG.
Yeah. Gary. Yeah.
Yes.
Stands for Gary.
Rob and Benny experiment plus Gary.
No, it's just the R and Benny experiment, Gary.
Just Gary.
Yeah.
Gary
just Gary.
edition.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a Gary edition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you are very rare.
Gary.
You ever seen a shiny Pokemon spawn?
Yeah.
This is the shiny Pokemon of Gary.
Garymon, I choose you.
So today, I thought, today's topic, I thought it would be a lot of fun. For those of you guys who are joining us for the first time, this is the R&B. It's a podcast that Rob and I host here every week. We normally talk about topics that one of us may know more about, the other one may not. We kind of educate each other, and we like to see opinions. Typically, afterwards, we go make ourselves experts on these topics, but we thought you would enjoy the initial reactions of us going, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
What? Huh?
A lot of people like to think that we know everything about comics, and anybody who's been watching the show knows that is not the truth.
Well, it kind of depends.
And
there,
also-
there are things that we are really knowledgeable about.
yeah, it depends on the topic. And
Hey, everybody. My name is Gary.
this is the new way. We were
I'm
sound
very
checking.
soft-spoken.
We were sound checking. Gary's mic was off at the beginning, and we were trying to make sure that we had fixed the problem. Rob said he had a feminine voice. If you think Gary has a feminine voice, down below, let us know if you think it's feminine and what his female name would be.
Why would you do that to Gary? Well, now this is going to be a comment video.
I don't think I've brought this up before with some friends. I don't think there is a feminine of Gary.
Why would that be a talking point?
No, you think like
Because there's
you'd be Roberta.
Roberta.
I'd be Benita.
Benita. There is no feminine for
Benita.
Gary.
Garrett,
In fact,
Garrett?
Gary means spear in Old English, so that's pretty awesome.
You're a spear.
You have
Spear.
a man's name.
Yes, I do.
Wow.
But it's a dying name too. It actually is going extinct. Legitimately is going extinct.
how do you know
Gary.
that? Like, how do you know that that's the case?
There have been studies done. I didn't do the studies, but there have been studies done on the name Gary, and it is in fact going extinct slowly.
I have never studied what my own
Yes.
name means.
I know what my last name means.
What?
Apparently, my last name in
It
lineage.
means magic.
No, Potter. So apparently, my last name in my lineage, we were the beer makers for the kings back in old England days.
It's pretty awesome.
That is pretty badass.
Yeah.
Literally, you come from a generation of like a line of breweries.
Yes.
That's basically what it is. We make beer.
Now, if that is incorrect, that is what they told me at Universal Studios. But
Oh, okay.
no, they actually had this really cool thing. You go to an area and they would give you your whole lineage and what your name actually means. I don't know if it was accurate,
I
but
don't
it seemed
remember
pretty
that. Where
accurate.
was that at?
This was like one of the first times I went there. I don't think
Oh.
they even had the feature anymore.
Damn, that sucks because I would really love to check it. I might do that. Look up what my name means.
There's a lineage.
It
All
means
right.
it means fire god.
Yes.
What are you gonna do if it's like
Like bright flower.
Just own it.
Delicate
Just
delicate
own it.
flower. I would. I'd be like, I'm delicate flower, bitch.
All right, so anyway, guys, today we're going to be discussing what is considered the worst retcons of the New 52. Now, I need to give a little explanation of this. It's 7 years old at this point. So in 2011, DC decided that they would redo their entire universe.
Yes.
Right. I
The,
did know that. Yeah.
the idea behind it was a fresh starting point for anybody who wanted to get into comics. We would retell all the origins. We would make everything line up. No more continuity problems.
Right.
Until there were.
There was a ton of continuity problems. That did not work like they intended. But
Yeah.
some things to make them work, people freaked about.
Yeah.
The backlash came out of what they changed. Okay?
Okay.
So today, I found a list on Comic Vine because Screen Rant's website won't work. By the way, thank you everyone for telling me that is apparently a problem. Some
really?
like real big sleuths looked into the advertisers in the coding to
Wow.
find it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So now the question is, will Screen Rant care enough to fix it?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
So anyway, so we're at Comic Vine today for their list. I'll link it down below because actually it's a list made by one of their individuals on the forum. So I definitely want to give this guy credit.
Which I just want to say real quick, I think it's so cool that we have fans that are like that knowledgeable about like JavaScript and stuff. They can just like go through the code and
Yeah.
figure out something like that. That's cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this guy made his list 5 years ago. So this is right around when New 52 was a thing.
Yeah.
And everyone was freaking out. So this is
Yeah.
pretty accurate to fan
That's
outcry
actually
at the time.
yeah, that's the best time to make
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So his first one was that Jason Todd was trained by monks.
Yeah.
Okay? So In Jason Todd's original storyline, he retcon punched, came back to life, had all kinds of like abilities and stuff like that. The other hand, Jason was very obnoxious, and Winnick had a plan. An editorial gave one. I'm trying to see what he said about this. Purpose is the change. Do you know?
You're familiar with Jason Todd, right?
I'm not.
Explain Jason Todd while I read over this.
Jason Todd was the second Robin.
Okay.
Fans initially
Yeah.
hated him because his origin was a carbon copy of the first Robin, Dick
Right.
Grayson.
Okay.
So what they ended up doing is they killed him off, in the 1980s, and then he was gone for something like 20 years. There was a story called Infinite Crisis, which was designed to fix continuity issues, and they brought him back to life.
Okay.
So not only did he have all of his history with Batman training intact, he was brought. He basically was kind of resurrected in like the the pits, the Lazarus
Pits?
Yes.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Okay.
He was brought back to the Lazarus Pits by Talia al Ghul and trained to be
And
one
then
of the
trained
best
with the monks.
assassins.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that whole idea was to they wiped all that away and they brought in the whole thing, right? That was not the New 52 origin, was it?
The New 52 origin was the Talia and the monk situation. So
Oh no, no. Then how did he come back after Infinite Crisis? then?
see, that's where his origin gets muddled and weird. Okay,
Yeah.
so Jason Todd's origin, it is the It wasn't the Lazarus Pit. He came back after Infinite Crisis due to the retcon punch.
Yeah, no, Superboy Prime.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no Lazarus Pit. He just got up.
Superboy Prime, the explanation they had is Superboy Prime was in this paradise dimension, which was
Yeah.
basically heaven. He punched his way
Right.
out and shattered it, and it had ripple effects all throughout the universe that affected things,
Right.
one of which was
Yes.
resurrecting people from the
I
dead.
think we talked about that in the last video I was in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like your favorite punch in history.
Yes, retcon punch!
So anyway, yes, the original
Yeah.
origin of Jason Todd is he was revived by the retcon punch. We don't know much about him. We did learn a little bit in Lost of Days, but the Talia al Ghul and all of that stuff, that's New 52.
So they never really explained how he came back then because of the retcon punch?
No, it was literally the retcon punch.
Yeah, I know, but they didn't offer I know there was Under the Red Hood and stuff like that.
No,
that kind of followed up.
they have it in Lost Days. The punch happens and he crawls out of the grave.
Oh,
It's literally from the punch.
wow. So Superboy Prime punched Jason Todd back to life.
Yes.
Okay. And did he ever? I don't know anything about this. Did he ever have context for that, or did he just kind of climb out of the grave? And was
He
like,
just climbed out of the
"Here
grave.
I am.
Yeah.
As far as I know, he
Okay.
never knew that it was
It's like,
Superboy
man,
Prime
thanks to the power of Superboy Prime, when most people get punched to death, I was punched to life. Like, this is awesome.
This is amazing.
I'll show you the comic. Where he
Yeah, I
literally
never read
gets
Lost
up
Days.
and he just wanders.
Yeah, I never read Lost Days.
He's like a
Okay.
zombie.
Wow.
In the
Interesting.
new
Okay.
52 retconned origin, they kind of, for me, I liked the idea of him just getting up. There was a sense of mystique to that. You know, like you literally just got up. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't actually dead.
Going all Undertaker, just, oh, I'm alive.
In the new 52, Talia al Ghul brought him back with the Lazarus Pits,
See, I
sent
like
him
that
to
better.
train.
That seems more reasonable.
It does seem more reasonable.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you're a true diehard Red Hood fan,
Yeah.
that adds a lot. That gets rid of all the mystique of Red Hood coming back.
Yeah.
Now, I feel that this retcon, being a Red Hood fan, does work better now.
Mm-hmm.
Because back in the day, not knowing the full story made more sense. Because he
it's-
didn't show up all the time. It
Yeah,
was just,
it's-
oh, he's the dead Robin back to life. What the hell?
It does work because you just have like this guy, there's this vigilante, Red Hood, who shows up in Gotham. And Batman's like, who in the hell is this guy? You know, and Red Hood's like, don't worry about who I am. Just know like your days are numbered. And like that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and it was super mysterious, and it's not until later on that you learn it's Jason Todd and all this kind of stuff. But and I do admit that crawling out of the grave, it does fit in with the intrigue. The initial return of Jason
Yes.
Todd and so on, that does work. But
But the new 52, now Jason Todd has an ongoing book.
Yeah.
Jason Todd has an ongoing character growth now.
yeah, for the sake of practicality, I think that works.
Right, because you can't just 7 years of a comic book and
Yeah.
we don't know how he came back.
Yeah, but like, how did Jason Todd came back? I crawled out of the grave. Yeah, but like, I mean, how did you come back out of the grave? I crawled out.
I crawled out of the grave. The reasoning for Jason to train on Lost Days, so when he came back to the grave, he wanted to train on Lost Days, is because he realized that Bruce's way was wrong. That was his whole thing. He trains not to fight evil, but to destroy evil and finally take revenge against Bruce, letting the Joker live after his own death. It's a travel.
What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and if you're enjoying the content here on my channel, then make sure you hit the like button.
Sorry there, guys. Yeah, so the hair looks packed. I can't really do much better than that. That is my personal lack of being able to, because I couldn't draw it. The hair that I drew on the actual piece on paper didn't look very well as well. I don't know what it is about me and hair. I just can't do it. It's not looking too bad, I don't think, on the actual Shazam close-up, but the Billy Batson looks horrendous. I'm gonna have to work on that. Maybe I'll do that as like a after video, but I'm gonna stop there and go into the shading part now. Again, I'm gonna listen to a bit more Shazam in the bottom there. I'm just gonna find another video so we can actually listen to, and get some more history maybe.
Who's next? I'm next. Go back to the night.
What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and if you're enjoying the content here on my channel, then make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit subscribe so you can help decide what direction the content on my channel goes in the foreseeable future. Okay, what is up, guys? This is Rob, and today we are going to continue our series on Omega level and beyond Omega level characters in the DC universe. And today's video focuses on the Wizard Shazam. Now, as a point of clarification before we get started, the Wizard Shazam takes the same name as Billy Batson Shazam, and it can get really confusing. So in order to avoid any kind of confusion, we're just going to call this guy the Wizard. Now, undoubtedly, people are probably asking the question, why are you not talking about Billy Batson Shazam? Well, the reason why is because in order to understand his character, we have to do this character. And the reason why goes all the way back to the idea that he's been around for 80 years, and so predictably, his origin has changed multiple times since his debut in Wiz Comics #2 in 1940. Originally, the Wizard was simply intended to function as a plot device for the character of Billy Batson in order for him to receive his powers. And the origin that we're presented with in the early days of the character, like many artifacts of the golden age of comic books, is a little bit silly. So prior to meeting Billy Batson, who's basically a 12-year-old homeless boy that was living down in a subway station, Billy had met a cloaked figure, and so the two of them boarded a magical subway car and traveled to an underground throne room where just this ancient wizard just sat hanging out. The wizard eventually tells Billy that his name is Shazam, and that he has been fighting evil for 3,000 years using the powers of the gods. In fact, the name Shazam is actually an acronym of the gods from which he derives his powers, explaining that the wizard has the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. A little bit of irony here, neither Achilles nor Solomon are actual gods. Solomon is basically a biblical king, and Achilles is just a really cool ancient Greek warrior who was played by Brad Pitt in whatever that movie was. I can't remember what that movie was called. Troy, that's what it was. Is there no one else? 40 years later, however, DC decided that they wanted to flesh out the old wizard's origin. So, in World's Finest Comics #262 in 1980, it was revealed that the wizard was at one point an ordinary shepherd boy named Jebediah living in the land of Canaan. Now, after his parents were murdered by a group of nomads, Jebediah prayed to the gods not to be left alone. Hearing his prayer, the gods chose Jebediah to become their champion, and so Jebediah was renamed to Valerum, which was an anagram for the first letters of the gods that imbued him with their powers. From Marsash, Jebediah received strength. From Errol, speed. From Ribblelevi, power. From Voldar, strength. From Eblium, courage. And from Lumium, he received wisdom. There's a 90% chance that I butchered the absolute heck out of those names. Don't care. Now, after Jebediah received a portion of each of the gods' powers, he was transformed from a child into an adult and was then tasked with using those powers to battle the forces of evil in the world. Now, during this time, the wizard displayed an insane amount of power. Just to get an idea of what sorts of things he was capable of, the wizard was able to create a prison called the Rock of Eternity, which housed the three faces of evil, a demonic three-headed dragon with magical abilities, the ability to breathe fire and corrupt the minds of others to turn them evil. Now, in order to create the prison, the wizard had to acquire a rock formation from heaven and one from hell. So we're dealing with a character who can enter and leave heaven and hell freely and bring parts of those otherworldly realms back to Earth. Why'd you want to bring hell on Earth? I have no idea. Also, in addition to the three faces of evil, the wizard also captured the 7 deadly enemies of man, which are basically demons that represent the 7 deadly sins, and simply imprisoned them within the stone statues, which are kept within the Rock of Eternity itself. Now, eventually, the wizard began to tire of his role as a defender against all things evil and began searching for someone to succeed him as a champion. His first choice was actually an ancient Egyptian man named Dwayne Johnson. Actually, his name was Teth Adam. Now, anytime Adam said the wizard name, he'd be granted the powers of the gods that had originally given the wizard his power, although it would later be retconned that it was actually a pantheon of Egyptian gods that gave Adam all the abilities that he has in order to be more in line with his Egyptian heritage. Before long, however, Adam became corrupted by his newfound power, and therefore the wizard simply renamed him to Black Adam and banished him to a distant star. Now, after Black Adam was found unworthy, the wizard sought out a new successor and found one in the form of Billy Batson, who we mentioned earlier, who would basically be transformed into a superhero named Shazam whenever he actually said the name Shazam. Now, in terms of how powerful the wizard is, he once served on the Quintessence, which is basically a council of the most powerful beings in the DC universe that included Zeus, Ganthet of the Guardians of the Universe, Highfather, and the Phantom Stranger serving alongside the wizard. Now, the function of this group was basically just to monitor everything that was going on in the DC universe to ensure that order is maintained. But they don't really interfere very often and usually just observe at a distance and only interfere when absolutely necessary. Now, the concept of the Octessence was first introduced during the 1996 Kingdom Come series, which exists outside the main DC continuity, but they were later brought into the main continuity as part of Grant Morrison's run on JLA, or Justice League of America. So we can simply tell just by the fact that the wizard is present on the council that he's among the upper echelon of characters in the DC universe in terms of power, as he's placed here among those beings that are considered to be legitimate gods. Now, as for what powers the wizard possesses, well, like most characters who are going to be classified as Omega level or beyond, his powers are pretty much anything he wants them to be. And I literally don't say that to be lazy, that's the way it is. Since the wizard's powers are derived from divine sources, he's not bound by any of the limitations of humanity, meaning that he can survive without air, water, or food. Of course, he also has your standard superhuman abilities like strength, speed, agility, stamina, and of course he can fly. He has an accelerated healing factor. He's virtually invulnerable to harm through either physical or magical means. He can teleport. He has a crazy amount of willpower that allows him to persevere in the most dire of situations and has divine guidance that help him to make decisions that will turn out in his benefit. The wizard is omnipresent, meaning he can be in multiple places at one time, as well as omniscient, meaning that he knows everything that he wants to know, and he can also read and manipulate the minds of others. He's almost completely omnipotent due to how advanced he is in the mystic arts, and because he's been around for 9,000 years, we can assume that he's basically ageless. Now, the reason why I say ageless is because while he probably would live forever if left to his own devices, that does not mean that he cannot be killed. In fact, during the Days of Vengeance miniseries written by Bill Willingham in 2005, we saw an epic battle between the wizard and another of DC's most powerful entities, the Spectre, who basically serves as God's arm of vengeance within the DC universe. There was a video previously where I referred to the Spectre as like the arm of God's wrath or something like that. That is not the Spectre. That is somebody else. I can't remember what their name is, and they basically took over the body of Maxwell Lord during the events of Justice League versus Suicide Squad. It's really weird. And so while eventually the wizard got the better of the Spectre and appeared to have defeated him, the Spectre was able to revive himself and kill the wizard by siphoning off his power. And so because of this, we know that the wizard can be killed, at least by other insanely powerful beings. However, we're only going to draw this conclusion insofar as we're referring to the wizard's physical body, as we later learn that the wizard's spirit had survived but had been trapped within the Rock of Finality, which is pretty much the polar opposite of the Rock of Eternity. Now, with the help of the Flash Jay Garrick, Billy Batson releases the wizard from the rock, and he's fully restored when Black Adam gives the wizard his power so that the wizard can save his wife. Now, the funny thing is that's really all we see when it comes to the wizard before the New 52, when DC effectively rebooted their entire continuity. But his depiction during the New 52 is actually a little bit different. In his first New 52 appearances, he simply just shows up as one of several wizards who are on a council of wizards that exists to control the magic on Earth and punish those who abuse it. The only other time that we saw him besides that was during Darkseid War, when it's revealed that he's actually a god named Mammurgan who enlists a whole new pantheon of gods to empower Billy Batson. But again, this guy is kind of crazy in terms of his abilities. The problem is that when it comes to the wizard, his appearances are for the most part limited, because remember, when it came to the wizard as a character, the star of the comic was Billy Batson, not really the wizard himself. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to do this, dip my hand in a more obscure character to see what happens. It's kind of one of those weird situations. But if you guys are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, and yeah, post down in the comment section. Let me know who you guys want me to do next. Most likely, we might transition back to a Marvel character real quick, and then we'll jump back over to DC. What I'd like to do is get in the habit of alternating. So one Marvel, one DC, one Marvel, one DC, grab some other characters from like Valiant, Image, do like an Omega level mutants, or I'm sorry, an Omega level character like Spawn or something along those lines. But let me know what you guys want to see, and I will catch you all later. Peace.
I'm just going to shut that video down. Please pause. Thank you. And shove it out the way so you can get a full picture of what I have done. Again, I will post this over onto Instagram along with every stage of drawing this picture. I don't think I've done justice to Critter today, but most of the other videos are okay. I really did really badly on the hair. I'm going to tweak that, but I think I'm just going to sort of do what I normally do is finished and done, because we've got to get on with another project, because it's Easter break, and we're into the second week now of the extra Easter break or spring break or whatever else guys you call it. We can maybe spring solstice, I can't even say that word. Whatever you call it, but hopefully having a good break and having a good time. And this video has given you something to do whilst now you've finished playing all your games, because I know I've gotten around to playing a lot of different things and sort of catch up on games that I haven't been able to. I'm going to be playing a game this afternoon. If you're watching this tonight or tomorrow, there should be another one there, so don't forget to follow and go over to Instagram, check out what's coming new, what's next, or hit that bell and subscribe down below. And I'll show you the difference in the paper version to what I've done digitally. And there we get the lightning. Not too bad on lightning. I mean, look at it there. That's how it is, and that's how you would see it. If I was to take away that there, maybe, yep, let's take away that. And you got a nice lightning bolt. You can create this with all the effects. Again here, I'm not very good, still learning, and I'm using a mouse. So please forgive me if I do some of the features, especially when I was doing hair. It's just hard. But lightning here, as you can see, is quite nice. And I could put a black background to this quickly, just to show you. Let's go here and add another layer, and then we'll just maybe could do a red. I've already done a red. Let's just kind of keep it in the dark colors for now. I'll get rid of that effects. Just go into like there we go. So it's still a nice. You can still create good features and effects here with what you have. Actually, I think I've forgotten to put a layer on. There we go. But yeah, you can still create and make a good layer and things like that for what you want to do. Shading is different on the computer, obviously, as it would be on any other medium off the computer. And you're able to add light where you can't add light somewhere else, just by using light itself. I like this effect. What about you? Let me know. I like being able to use it. No, let's turn that one off. And carry on putting back what I put in. Showing you each layer, each different layer. How each layer is constructed I've showed you in a little bit in each video. And hopefully you have learned a little bit maybe. See if you can do a better one than me with the hair, definitely. But there's all the shading. You see what I mean there with the shading on Billy's face, and to construct it almost with the muscle structure. Again with Shazam, the shading layers, adding in more different layers. Each layer has a different meaning and purpose, as you have to build up like you do with any kind of any other medium. Well, I like to use a finalized black-ended line, you know, like an ink pen. And there's the original to what I did with the original. Hopefully you have enjoyed it, and hopefully you have enjoyed watching this. If you want to go and check it out from last week, there should be a video popping up very soon. Click the links that you would like to see down below in the comment section. Otherwise, leave me a comment to see what for links to this program. Again, it's completely free, so it's a good way of training yourself before you get the good programs, and have to pay the subscriptions. If you want to know where I get Comic Historian, again, the links should be down below. If they aren't there, leave me a comment and I'll put that there for you. Otherwise, they are definitely over on my Instagram, and check me out over on Mixer. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you're new, and click the links that will apply.